Hello, today we're going to take a look at the TeamUp Technologies platform. For today's focus, we will be looking at the plan part of the project platform. We believe that this platform has the most learning capability already implemented and the most potential for our learning support system. Each team would be given their own login that would bring them to a home page looking like this. A simplified calendar view would be available here, and then teams would have the option of viewing the project timeline or starting a new team meeting, both of which have great learning support systems built in. First, we'll view the project timeline. The project timeline will launch into another application and will be a great visualization of the timeline and of the entire project. In the timeline, you'll be able to create new timeframes, deliverables, and meetings, which we'll go over a little bit later. But the point of the timeline is to help visualize the entire meeting process, provide short snippets of information as to what went on during each meeting in order to help ease the search process and prevent content duplication. Once you click into meetings, you can find out more and even launch into the meeting, which we'll get to shortly. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, different colors exemplify different meetings. For example, here we have a progress report, and later in the line we have a deadline or a deliverable. We also have areas in here for different meetings, research, and points of feedback through our Reflect platform, which again we'll touch on later. You can easily add new points in the timeline, and the goal of this system will also to have these dots be different colors and different sizes. The larger a dot is, the more information that was discussed during that meeting. We think this will be really helpful in teams when they try to weed out different information and simplifying the search process for information already collected. Going back to our home page, now we're going to start a new team meeting. When you start a new team meeting, it will bring you into the Diigo project platform. Diigo's platform helps you highlight, collect, gather, cite, and source information in a really easy to use way. As you can see here, we've taken some ideas from the class and put different articles into the information system. What's cool about this system is that you can post different sites, and you can also look at what people have to say about the sites. Now, looking at a site specifically, if I pulled this up and then wanted to use the same site, but didn't know I was using the same site. So we're thinking that we have a meeting, we're all looking at different computers. I go back to the Diigo platform to input my information. What's really interesting about this is it'll allow me to input the information. I can even write a comment, and I can tag things as well. But then what Diigo automatically does is it'll post it at the top, and here I see that Hannah has already written something about it. So I know that this is actually a duplicate source. This is our platform that allows for source duplication and alerts you when something like that happens. This is really important for us because it prevents information from being looked at again and again. So some other interesting content duplication and note-taking information that Diigo's platform has built in can be seen when you actually go to websites. You'll need to have an extension on your computer, but once everything is installed, which is really easy, you just go up to Tools and it'll walk you through the process. Kind of finding and collecting information for projects, new content, with preventing duplicate content is really easy and usable. So for this instance, we're going to go to one of my favorite sites. It doesn't really have anything to do with the project, but it's Engadget. It's a tech site. So I'm going to drop down here and open up this article. And then you just have to select what's already installed here, which is the dglit platform, which will load this information over here. And so I'll select that I want to highlight the first paragraph here because I think it's important. Now we've highlighted that, and if we go back to our Digo index, then it'll show the information here, and it'll already be cited for us, and everything that I've highlighted is here. I can share it with my group, and I can even add a sticky note, which is kind of like a comment, as you've already seen in the My Group platform. Now what's really cool about this is if I go back to the site, and the thing that makes this so interesting is if I go back to the website as a group member, which is difficult to show in this presentation, but it does work if you're another group member, as long as you're logged into the group. I go back here and I do have to reload the dglit platform. But see, it shows here that something's already been highlighted in the group. So what this is telling me is it's its own content duplicator in and of itself. So as I go into different web pages, and again, once you've loaded the dglit platform on a web page, I can go somewhere else and it'll stay there. And comes back up just by clicking that. But I can highlight anything. More importantly, though, like you just saw on the Engadget site, as a team member, it would show that I had already highlighted that. And instead of rereading through everything, I might just want to go back to my library and see what I already have here. The other main thing that we would like to have happen, and this is kind of the connection of the timeline platform that we're using and Digo, is when you create a meeting, that meeting automatically goes to the timeline. So if you look here, we have our first meeting, and if you go to our project timeline, we have our first meeting here as well. And they would connect the two, so you'd be able to click on this and it would take you back to the Digo group so you can look at what's going on during each meeting. This helps learning in a couple of ways. We've already talked about how the timeline visualizes learning, and we've already talked about how Digo helps with the learning process because it combines everything. It pulls content, you can highlight and annotate content, and it checks for duplicate content and alerts you of it automatically. Those are all things that help the search process. They help decomplicate information that you're trying to research, and it really puts everything into a nice format, including this kind of forum-like commenting option, so that you can have a dialogue about all the content that you're using. But then it also takes everything that you've done and visualizes it on the timeline, which helps you and your group track process, again, helping you learn through the team building process. The final thing we wanted to discuss was our Reflect platform, and this has to do mainly with team feedback. So after you would do the different deadlines, you would have feedback. You would click to take the survey. And you would automatically be brought to information that you would use on each person. Now we've taken this from some curriculum based off of Emory's Managing Groups and Teams curriculum, which part of that is doing team feedback and doing team feedback effectively. So that's where all of this information came from. So once everybody gave feedback, it would send you an email like this. Your quantitative answers would come out and it would just show you different levels. But then where TeamUp is a little bit different, it shows you what your lowest level is and even has information on how to improve on that level. And then it also talks about your next steps, which is how you act on the feedback that you've been given. This, coupled with an additional meeting on the timeline and using the Digo platform on discussing the feedback and discussing how each team member will improve themselves, is a great way to learn how to be an effective team member and really how to take team processes, which aren't just part of college but a part of real life, and really capitalize on them. The biggest problem with group projects is at the end of each group project, you get feedback from the professor in terms of a grade, but you don't have any debriefing on how you acted as a team. So there is no learning and there is no growing based off of the team process whatsoever. The TeamUp platform would have a reflection that includes another one of these feedbacks and then guided questions that show how to do everything and how to really have a discussion on the team process. This helps each individual, rather than the team, prepare themselves to be better in a team setting in the future. So it's laying foundational groundwork that's not currently part of any curriculum here at Goizueta, which we really feel puts everybody at an advantage. Finally, the platform also includes a help center, which helps teams go through a team contract, also part of the reflect process. We feel that the team contract is extremely important in setting up the team for success, and this walks you through how to do it. And then it also has an example of a team meeting. There's also a link that takes you to this platform so you can do virtual team meetings along with using the Digo platform.